Welcome, friends. My name is Avinash, and I welcome all of you again to another interesting episode of Corporate Face-to-Face series. Friends, as all of you are aware, this series helps us understand emerging companies from emerging sectors. And in this process, we make it a point to talk to the promoters, the top managements of such companies, so that we get a very detailed view about their company's business model, their growth journey, their future growth plans. And in this process, a lot of valuable information is shared by the company management and the promoters to us. This helps all our investors to take a very conscious investment call. And friends, today we've got another interesting company which is going to hit the capital market very soon. And it operates in a very niche space. The company's name is TechD Cybersecurity Limited. And I have the privilege of having the MD and CEO of the company, Mr. Sunny Waghela. Sunny ji, welcome to the show, and thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure for me to host you. And I'm quite sure that in this small interview, we'll have a very proper discussion which will help us understand your company in a much better way.
Thank you, Avinash, for inviting me and having me on your podcast.
Yeah. So, Sunny, first thing which is very basic, I just want to understand within the cybersecurity space, what are the broad kind of products or services we offer, and secondly, what is our market positioning? I think we have come a long way. Now we are going public, but typically, in terms of the market positioning in the domestic market, where do we stand according to you? And just a related question, Saniji, that is this a first generation company started by you? If so, sir, tell us something about your initial business journey.
Thank you, Avinash. So there are two, three questions. I'll take the last part, first. So this is a first generation company. My dad was into different business, and this is, and cybersecurity is my passion for last almost 15 years, and is my profession also for last almost 15 years.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a bit about myself and my background. So I started at a very early age. When I was 16-year old, I started my journey as a bug bounty hunter.
Okay.
Prior to that, how I got curiosity about hacking and cybersecurity, because when I was in my ninth standard, one of the email ID got hacked, and that actually got me so much curious about to learn about cybersecurity. But that time, the word hacking or hacker itself was so negative that I was not even telling anyone that I'm a hacker and I know a bit about hacking. But then in my second year of the engineering, I found certain of the loopholes in SMS, VoIP technologies, and then, the first social networking website, which is Orkut.
Yeah.
While I found the loopholes, and the local investigating agency came to me and said that if you can hack the Orkut, why don't you solve some crimes which are happening on Orkut?
Correct.
I started working for, the Ahmedabad crime branch as an helping hand. Then I became an official consultant for the Ahmedabad crime branch as well. I got chance to work on around 160 plus cases. And from to my second year of the engineering till 2010, which is almost like 3 to 4 years of the time, I was privileged enough to work on some of the very infamous cases, which is 26/8 Ahmedabad blast that actually took place.
Okay.
The whole of cyber train of Ahmedabad blast
Yeah.
I was very instrumental in the whole of a team to solve that particular case as well. Then in 26/11, when these people were attacking, they were having phones and they were getting calls from a VoIP.
Yeah.
So there is a cyber angle to this 26/11 bomb blast as well. So I got involved to make sure to find out the whereabouts of this, VoIP technique, because that was a loophole that I found in my second year of the engineering as well. I worked for a couple of investigating agencies, trained them from 2008 when I passed out from my engineering to 2010.
Okay.
And the brand Tech Defense started way back in 2010, but
Okay.
not as a service company, but as a training company.
Okay.
So from 2010 to 2017, our journey was into only cybersecurity training. We had association with some premier institutions in India. And what we were conducting is a short-term programs on cybersecurity across educational institutions.
Okay.
I've trained till 2017, I've trained 55,000 people by conducting more than 700 workshops across India on cybersecurity.
Okay.
But 17, I decided that I want to take a kind of a retirement from my training life or as an academia life, and want to also make sure that I start my services company. That's where in 2017 we started Tech Defense Labs Solutions Private Limited Company. We incorporated as a private limited company, and that was a right time. Everyone was investing into cybersecurity. There was a willingness by the companies to invest into cybersecurity also. So we started as a services company, but because my whole background, as an ethical hacker, and my teammates who were with me from 2010 to 17, they were also into ethical hacking. We started with security assessment services first. So in security assessment, what we do is we basically, find out some loopholes into the company's IT network, their asset, their websites, and we tell them that, hey, these are the open doors in your system. You need to patch it before a hacker can hack it. The second vertical in the company that exists, that is a GRC vertical. We call it a governance, risk, and compliance vertical. So there are so many regulatory frameworks in India and across the globe as well. Our team works closely with customers to basically help them with the compliance requirement with specific to cybersecurity, which are actually set up by the regulator.
Okay.
Like RBI has a framework, SEBI has a framework, IRDA has a cybersecurity framework, DOT has a framework, and we are a certain empaneled agency, which is Computer Emergency Response Team of India, empaneled agency. We help our customers to basically comply with those framework by conducting audits to making sure that they implement the required controls in the framework as well.
Okay.
This is all on a reactive side. In 2019 end, which is 2020 starting, we started our security operations center. So security operations center is a 24 cross 7, 365 days a year. Until now, from 2020 to 2025, our offices are running 24 cross 7, 365 days a year in 3 shifts, where
Okay.
we monitor customers' infrastructure. So we monitor them and we tell them that these are the ways the hacker can actually come into your organization and can breach your organization. And
Hmm.
our job is like a security guard for an organization. So we secure them before a hacker hacks them. So these are the services that we provide for each of our customers. We have some customers a one-time engagement to the customers which are having a 1 year engagement,
Okay.
and then customers are having multi-year engagement as well. So to answer your question, which is how do we position ourselves? So we position ourselves as a managed security service provider. When I
Okay.
say a managed security service provider, we basically ensure to create a customized program for our customer,
Okay.
and that customized program, consists of all these required pillars of the cybersecurity combining into one, and we give them a managed services. So we bring in a technology for them, we bring in a people for them, we bring in a process for them, and that's how we make sure that from all the angles of reactive to proactive side of cybersecurity, we secure them and we make sure that we follow our SLA as well. So we position ourselves as the managed security service provider.
Okay.
We do not develop any sort of a product. We have certain of our proprietary, the AI agents and the AI, the tools that we use to make sure to automate our internal function so that we deliver customer the services faster and we deliver a quality of the services. But yes, we are a pure play cybersecurity services provider and a solutions provider for a customer.
Okay. Well, understood. Very nicely articulated by you. Sunny ji, now tell me one thing you mentioned about managing, one-time customers or maybe, giving customized services in form of the managed services portfolio you have. Tell me one thing, how many active customers do we have? And, if you could tell us some marquee names, because some of the names have already been disclosed by the company in the presentation and the prospectus. And secondly, do you have a system where you have some fixed price contracts with these customers, or is it basically customized based on the customer's requirement? So जैसे requirement आती है आप उसके ऊपर solution देते हो and then you price the product. So if you could tell us something on
Correct.
this.
So, sir, till now we have served around 600 plus customers. And out of which, sir, currently we already have 467 customers, which are the active customers, which
Okay.
have been working with us for last almost 2 years, three years.
Okay.
And there are customers like Adani Group, there are
Hmm.
customers like Astral Group, there are
Okay.
customers like, Torrent Group. They have been working with us for more than 5 years as
Oh,
well.
very good.
Right. Now, these are the customer, the some of the marquee names that I told you. On BFSI sector, we work with HDFC. We work with a couple of other private banks. We have a lot of, the small finance and as well as, the cooperative bank sector as well. And with respect to SEBI regulated entities, we work with many of the big brokers like Ind Money. We work with, Quant Mutual Fund, Nippon Mutual Fund. So these are the marquee names that we have
Okay.
in our customer folio as well. So currently, almost all of our customers they are working with us for bundle of services. So what we do, or what is our business strategy, that when we enter any of the organization, we basically ensure that we showcase them what are the risk factors. It's like a doctor showcasing that what are their body parameters,
Hmm.
and making sure that what medicines that you need to take.
Correct.
Now, once you take that one dose of the medicine, right, the rest other follows, because the customer wanted to ensure that they are my partner, where I want to ensure outsource my other security functions as well.
Correct.
So our goal is always to start with a one-time engagement with a customer, but yes, in 3 to 6 months of the time, my people, my sales and my pre-sales team, they make them understand the value of an MSSP, the
Ah,
value of understanding all the different functions of cybersecurity, and why we as a bundled partner, can able to provide all services under a one umbrella, under a one roof, right? That gives two benefit to the customer. The one benefit is a pricing benefit to the customer, and second benefit is we take the whole accountability of a cybersecurity, so that the CXO or a CISO has a lesser liability, because they outsource a complete function to us as well.
okay.
And we have our SLA contract with them. So we start small with a one-time engagement with any of our newer customers, but then later we do an upside sales and convert them into an MSSP, and at least take 2 or 3 pillars, or maybe some customers take all the pillars of cybersecurity from us and a managed security service bundle. So we have rate contracts set with them also, with the yearly increase on the rate contract with those customers, which varies from 10% to 20%, depending upon the technology and the kind of people what they are looking as a part of managed services.
Okay. Well, understood. Nicely
So that
mentioned.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, please. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
that
think,
is one vertical.
yeah. Saniji, now one thing I wanted to understand that there is a broad level of competitive intensity in our industry, but typically when you approach a new client, what are the kind of pre-qualification the customer expects from us? कि भाई इन्होंने X number of clients handle किया. अभी तो now we have handled more than 600 clients, you said. But typically when earlier you used to approach a new client, was it purely based on relationship, or they used to look at your credentials कि भाई कितने companies को आपने service किया है? How does the contract and how does the relationship happen that you crack a new deal for a new customer? I mean, existing customer का तो relationship है, but in your
Correct.
initial days, how did you crack that with the customers?
Sir, in my initial days, when I was in my training vertical, in back in 2010, I decided that my first customer has to be one of the premium customer, and that logo has to retain with me for years. And that was IIT Bombay. When I
Okay.
started my services company, in just 2 months of the operations, right, with a lot of visits to our, because we are in Ahmedabad, Adani Group is also in Ahmedabad,
Yeah.
right? We did all our effort to make sure to close one of the largest logo in India, and that was Adani Group.
Okay.
Now, when you have an Adani Group as a logo, and when you're serving all the business units of that particular group under your banner in during the course of 3 4 months during the initial days, it becomes very easy for us to go to other customers,
Correct.
right, and tell them that what logos that we are actually serving.
Okay.
So initial days also we were not having much of a challenges, but yes, as and when the cybersecurity spend by the organization has increased, regulations have come into a place, the customers have multiplied, and their spend also in the cybersecurity have multiplied over the years.
Okay. Okay. No, no, understood. Sanjay, now two questions. One is, on a macro perspective over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, how do you see this cybersecurity market, growing? Because, there are many players. Of course, everybody has got his own niche, but how big is the total addressable market, the TAM, and, how are we going to capitalize on it? And typically, the second question is, in terms of product differentiation, in terms of service differentiation, what are the kind of value adds we add to the existing customers? Repeat business तो आपको बहुत आता होगा, or maybe you convert a one time to a regular customer. But sir, what is it that you add value to ensure that the customer comes back to you? If you could share one or two qualitative points for us.
Absolutely. So first we should be looking at the cybersecurity market outlook, which is expected to grow at around 400 billion by 2030 and around 608 billion by 2034.
Okay.
If you look at the Indian perspective of it, India is also going to grow at almost 30 billion US dollar, right, by 2030, and 35 closely by 2034. While the figures state their own numbers, right, what we need to really look at, the regulations, right? So currently in India, if you look at last 1 year, there are good number of regulations have come by, not at least 10 regulatory bodies. Now, when I say framework and standards, these are the mandates by those regulatory bodies that you need to follow all of that. Look at this certain impaneled, or certain, agency which has issued a guideline stating that all companies in India would have to do at least one time cybersecurity audit, in 1 year of the time. If you look at the total number of registered companies in India, there are more than 26 lakh companies which are there. So that one regulation is actually opening up a market, and this is actually making sure that people take the money out of their pocket and put into a cybersecurity, because data is a new oil and everyone wants to secure the data, be it a government or be it a private organization. How do we differentiate ourselves? So that's a very interesting question. So what I was actually saying in the initial questions, I forgot to mention one more vertical that we are already having as a cybersecurity training also. What I was doing before 2017 is was only and only short term program, but हमने 2 साल का break लिया, and now in 2019 हमने अपने long term program start किया, because we are in a resource intensive industries. While any other company in India would hire a resource, train the resource, make sure that they become skillful and go to a field, my company has decided a different strategy, that cybersecurity is still a resource intensive industry. India needs, these are the figures I'm talking about. India needs more than 35 lakh people in next another 3 years of the time. And India is not even producing 35,000 a year. With realizing the needs of the demand of the resources, with realizing, our academic experience, what we have done in 2019, we tied up with one university. We started our bachelor's and master's programs on cybersecurity. And right now, there are 9 universities we are running our programs, and we are creating our skillful resources by training them also. So for us, we are training them, making them skillful, helping the whole cybersecurity community. First, definitely my company to absorb some of the good minds out of this, all the universities. Second would be that we are generating a revenue out of this particular training vertical also, and that is also sustainable, and that is a scalable revenue, because once any college tie up with us, we have a tie up for years and years, because we don't take short term courses, we take the whole BTech and the whole MTech of the cybersecurity.
Okay.
So that's where my differentiator comes into a picture. If my customer comes and say that in a MSSP proposal of any other vendor, they are providing me 6 resources, sir, in the same pricing, we provide around 10 resources. We are still able to make the larger margin than any other vendor can actually able to make that. The second would be a price point, which we are winning out of it, because we have a training revenue generated and we have a service revenue and service margins maintained in the same sort of a proposal as well.
Okay.
The third is we create an exclusive partnership with OEMs. So there are a couple of OEMs we are already having exclusive partnerships, and those exclusive partnerships help us to basically, portray us as the largest MSSP in India, or any other leads they come to an OEM also, they help us to get that lead and make sure that we provide MSSP services on a top of it.
Well, I think very nicely articulated again by you, Sunny ji. Very nicely mentioned what are the differentiators. Now, tell me one thing, sir, on the on the financial front, I was seeing numbers for FY25 have been very robust. Top line has also grown significantly. Profit after tax, as you rightly mentioned, services or training में तो margins अच्छे होते ही है. But typically, what was the key reason for such a sharp increase in revenue and profit? Was it because some more assignments were done by you, or you got a increased number of clients, the value mix improved in your favor? Typically, the numbers have been very sharp in terms of the increment, from FY24 to 25. So first of all, do you think this growth is going to be sustainable? I mean, even without giving a number, if you could just tell us what is the broad outlook for FY26 and key reasons for this sharp improvement in the profits?
Correct. So, as I said, sir, before, we were focused on certain of the services which are in a 1 year of the contract. Right now, we are at a stage that we basically give customer a little price benefits, but we enter into a multi-year engagement with a binding agreement with that particular organization itself. Second, in cybersecurity, there's one more generalized thing which is happening across the industry, is known as a vendor consolidations. None of the CISO wanted to maintain 5 vendors and make sure that they run all five things and they create their KPIs out of it as well.
Mm.
So almost all CISOs are now going ahead with the vendor consolidations and an OEM consolidation. That means I need a one technology, give me five functions. I need a one vendor who actually give me 10 services or 15 services in a single bundle of that.
Ah,
The third would be we have focused on staff augmentation as well as a part of a managed services. So the customer who outsource the managed services, and we manage it remotely, the staff sit at our end, but customers say that I will take the managed service, but as a part of it, you need to give us the staff and the number of people, should be this. Uh, because of regulations, as I said, the cybersecurity demand, or rather the cybersecurity spend by the organization, has averagely increased by 2 to 3% every organization, or on an average per organization out of the total global turnover.
okay.
So when you look at all of this, right, people have seen the need of a lot of technology. People are becoming matured, or businesses are becoming matured. It is being talked at a board level, and going ahead with the MSSP approach, we have seen this sustainable growth, and this growth will definitely sustain because, as I said, what we are doing out of our IPO proceed is something that you would really be interested to know. Is one, we are expanding globally. Currently, if you look at our revenue is coming, only and only from India, or rather, most of the revenue is coming from India, which is close to 85%, right? But right now, we are actually working with a couple of channel partners, but we will be incorporating our wholly owned subsidiaries in the USA, in the Middle East, in Africa, or rather we create our sales presence over there, and then finally we're going to have a business which is coming from an international market itself.
Okay.
Even international markets are resource intensive, but with our resource capabilities we'll be able to grab good number of business. But again, the second object is the creating a state of the art infrastructure. So what we are going to do out of our IPO preset is we are going to create our state of the art infrastructure, because SOC is being a mandate for every organization. So with keeping that in mind, we are creating that infrastructure which any customer will look at, trust our capabilities, evaluate our capabilities, and give us the MSSP projects as well. Current infrastructure has certain limitations, so our new infrastructure will definitely add up to our, the aspirations and our, the goals and the targets as well.
Understood. Sunny ji, now one question which is related to this answer what you gave me. Tell me one thing that in this business, suppose apne ko business और बढ़ाना है, you said export market, domestic market. Do you require more and more number of people to be put out? Like, how does this business work? Is there any scope for operating leverage? Ki, there is one person who does the cyber security for, let's say, one company. Can we use him for another 5 companies? So उसका मतलब क्या है कि I can data mine more from the existing staff. तो ऐसा कुछ होता है हमारे business?
Correct, sir. And that's a very, very, very interesting question. So that's where we are leveraging, sir, AI technology, right? So in our SOC, typically before a year, right, when this AI boom was not there much in the cybersecurity, but if you look at last 1 year, so much of boom about AI in every sector.
Correct.
Our one particular security analyst was able to manage around 4 customers, was able to manage 4 customers. Right now, with the help of AI, we are automating a lot of functions for creating reports, to making sure for evidence collections for our GRC vertical, to investigate some of the incident in our security operations center. The one particular resource is been able to manage at least 10 of our customers in a current era. So this is also one of the add-on advantage what we have. And with this AI support, we are definitely going to grow our presence in the sales, but on the operating side of it, it will not go that exponential like what we are going to do it in our sales presence across the other territories.
So, understood. Saniji, now you mentioned that you are going to tap the export markets also. Export is a big opportunity for you. Tell me one thing, that from when can we possibly see these efforts getting fructified into actually numbers, because markets, as you are aware, they want to see what is the effort done by the company and which gets reflected into performance. So what is your thought process by end of this financial year or next year? Could we see some kind of, green shoots on the export market front for you?
So a very nice question. So we already started the efforts recruiting the resources there. We have rolled out a couple of offers as well for the international business directors. And we have already seen a good traction from an international market compared to our last year as well. But yes, if you want to see an exponential effect of an export market or the good penetration into our the financials, it would actually happen in post December or probably in the next financial year.
And
Hmm.
think nicely mentioned, sir. Now, Saniji, I want to understand in our business, since we operate in the service sector, typically when you have a contract with a customer, how does the working capital cycle work? If you could please tell us, how many days you get the money? Because I was seeing, one aspect is your profitability is good, your revenue growth is good, but somehow, market looks at the operating cash flows. Typically that is a number which I think in the last 2 years has not been positive. So I think can we expect a better cycle now for you once you get the public issue money?
Absolutely. So, sir, what we have done, the changes in our in-house process is how do we recover that particular receivables from the customers?
Okay.
Because let's take an example, we do 5 different services for a customer, right? Even though, there are things which are pending at a customer's end, like they need to patch certain of the loopholes that we have discovered. They need to, do changes as part of their policies. They need to do some changes in the technology, and we issue basically a certain certificate to that.
Okay.
Now, the second would be the regulatory, deadlines. So let's say for CB related, for RBI related, they have the regulatory deadlines.
Yeah.
So if a regulatory deadline, is extended, the customers say that, okay, I'll do it, maybe another 1 month, or I'll do the other changes in next 2 months.
Hmm.
So that actually goes in a very, cold mode, right? And
Correct.
then the customer again comes and say, oh, I need a certificate, and then I'll release your payment as well.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what we have done, the changes in our P&L, one would be the very strong collection mechanisms, no matter whether the patching or the things which are pending at the customer end, or when the certificate is pending, the customer is bound to release the payment. Second, we will not release the report if the customer does not give the payment,
Okay.
right? Or there is a right commitment as per the
Okay.
MSME norms with the customer. So we incorporated all these clauses in our binding agreement as well as in our customer agreements.
No, no, I
For
think
all our MSSP, yeah, please,
yeah.
please.
So I think you adding one more point. Please continue.
Yeah. Uh, for all MSSP customers, we are having monthly advance, or either they get paid at end of the month in other 45 days of the cycle. What we
Okay.
have done right now is that it is a quarterly advance. So you can pay after 45 days. Still, we are able to maintain that particular healthy cash flows
Okay.
in that particular, the month.
Right. Okay. Now, Sunny ji, the most important question, if you could tell us briefly, because you've already told us for what you will require the IPO money. What is the size of the offer? And typically, if you could tell us when the issue opens, some basic details, which will help all our investors.
Absolutely. So the total size of the IPO is 39 crore. We are listing on NSE Emerge SME platform,
Okay.
right? The total number of shares are 20 lakh 20,200 shares. The price band, which is fixed at 183 to 193 rupees per share.
Okay.
And IPO is opening on 15th of September 2025 and closing on 17th of September 2025.
Okay. No, understood. Now, one thing which I also wanted to clarify, Sunny ji, see, basically, this is just a question which has come from the prospectors. We find that, you all have got some private limited companies in the form of a private limited and an LLP company. Now, typically, we do read the risk factors. So I just want to understand what is the thought process of having these two companies. Are these companies going to do any separate business, or are they going to do complementary business, what we do? I mean, because finally, as a promoter, obviously you will like to ensure that there is a proper compliance, everything gets organized in the listed entity. So, sir, what is the purpose of these two companies? Are these companies going to remain just for the sake of entities, or usme bhi koi business hoga? Because it seems that the same business is done in all these entities.
Correct. So to answer your question, sir, uh, the Tech Defense Labs or TechD Cybersecurity Limited is a services entity. Certain point of time, the customer do ask us for the solution reselling as well,
Okay.
where we have a lesser margins, where we have a margins which are very thin. When you sell, let's say, a zero trust solutions, or when you sell, some sort of a, antivirus, it has a lesser solutions.
Correct.
Now, customer does not want to change the vendor. So sometimes the customer asks that, can you help us with other entity where I can do a other billing as well,
Okay. Okay.
where we do not see a conflict of interest, and we make sure that we build that particular customer, do not even lose the customer, or do not
Yeah.
make any other vendor entry into our customer as well.
Okay.
But sir, right now, as a part of a regulation, we already have a non-compete agreement with both
Okay.
this entity, right? So there's no conflict of interest in any of this entity, and soon that entity, may be the part of the whole, the TechD Cybersecurity Limited.
Well, I think very nicely articulated and point taken. Now, last question, Sunny ji. In our business, what is the most important risk? Is it technology risk? Is it the fear of losing some key people from your team? हमारे धंधे में सबसे बड़ा risk क्या है? If you can tell us.
Sir, in cybersecurity, the talent is something which I always, will tell it a risk, right? Losing key people is always a risk, right? And making sure that, but then what we are doing with this is the technology adoption and the process automations,
Okay.
right? So currently, from my CRM to project management to billing cycle is all we are automating, so
Okay.
that even if anybody leaves, there is a right person who has a right visibility over a
Correct.
technology as well.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so basically, I think one can safely assume, Sunny ji, that the runway for growth for us is very large because India is a very large growing market. Export market is also going to grow for us. So, sir, it was a pleasure for me to talk to you and host you today. My best wishes to you, your entire management team, and best wishes for your public issue also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.